So my cooking in the kitchen did change. My mom and dad both went plant-based as well. So we got to be on this journey together, which was really helpful. And it was fun because it was like a new adventure. We were exploring new foods together, and we would share recipes and cookbooks and different things like that. So that was a lot of fun.
You have more power over your health than what you've been told. This is the Healthy Lifestyle Solutions podcast, and I'm your host, Maya Acosta. I'm passionate about finding healthy lifestyle solutions to support optimal human health. If you're willing to go with me, together we can discover how simple lifestyle choices can help improve our quality of life and increase longevity in a big way. Let's get started. How do you go from having a passion for a whole food plant-based lifestyle to actually creating a veg fest in your city? Well, we're going to learn from Melissa Furman. She's the CEO of the MAF Health Coaching. She's the founder of the Second Youth Wellness Method and the co-founder and event organizer of the Tulsa Vegfest that's coming up June 4th. As always, the full bio and the links for each of my guests can be found on our website, healthylifestylesolutions.org. And I hope that I can see you there at the Tulsa Vegfest. So happy to have you here.
I'm so pleased to be here.
And you drove from Houston.
I did. Just drove in.
Yes. So we are going to be talking about Melissa's life. We're going to learn about how she became plant-based,
Yes.
about all that she's done as a result of going plant-based. And then we will talk about the Tulsa Vegfest.
Yes. Can't wait.
Yes. So you are a co-founder.
I am a co-founder, Tulsa Vegfest.
Yeah.
Our first year, 2019.
Yes. So actually, let me read a little bit
Yes.
about that. And there's so much to cover that I'm excited. So you have a master. So I'll go ahead and read the bio. Melissa Furman is a master certified health coach, is the CEO of MAF Health Coaching LLC, founder of the Second Youth Wellness Method, co-founder and event organizer of the Tulsa Vegfest, and co-founder of the plant-based Green Country. It's a 501c3, and she is a wife of 25 years. Oh my gosh, you don't even look like you've been married 25 years, and has 2 adult children, and has been whole food plant-based since 2015.
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
And never looked back.
Yeah, right. I feel like a lot of us go through that. Yes. I know that people are in different journeys, but I feel the same way. It's like it's
so powerful, and I just feel so much freedom, and I feel amazing. Like I do. I look at pictures and I feel 30, and I'm going to turn 50 this fall. So
I can't believe
amazing.
it.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, this is wonderful. Yeah. I also want to start off before we talk about your story. I want to mention to our listeners, those of you that are kind of new to Healthy Lifestyle Solutions, before that, we used to go by Plant-Based DFW, our podcast. And at that time, I had Chris Ann.
Yes.
On the podcast.
My co-founder.
Your co-founder of the Vegfest. So she was on 2020, probably twice. And we learned about all the wonderful things that are happening in New York. Yes. She talked to us about the Vegfest, or at least, how it had to be, it was canceled or on hold 2020 and 2021.
Yes.
Okay.
She's been in a holding pattern for 2 years.
Yes. So let's talk a little bit about the Vegfest first, because it's coming up. And so we want to make sure that people get that information so that you can make your plans to attend. And tell us about the Vegfest and how that got started.
Okay. So I turned plant-based in 2015 after watching the film Forks Over Knives. And about a year later, I went down to Florida to visit my parents, and they had a Veg Fest that weekend. And I went on that particular weekend so I could go to the Veg Fest. I thought that would be fun. And I thought, oh, well, we'll just go for a couple of hours. I stayed the whole day. I talked to all the speakers. I listened to everybody. I went to all the vendors. And afterwards, I realized, I talked to some of the people who were in charge of it, and they said they had almost 15,000 people at that Veg Fest, and it was their second year. And I left literally on fire inside. I said, I need to bring this home. At the time I was living in Tulsa, and I said, I need to bring this home. So I came home from that event, and I asked my friends to help me. I told them all about it, and I said, hey, I think we need to do a Veg Fest in Tulsa. And they looked at me like I had 3 heads. And they're like, "You're right, Melissa." And I'm like, "Okay," so then this group of friends I'm speaking about is we had a potluck group that we did together, plant-based potluck group, and so the 7 of those ladies went on a holistic cruise together 2 weeks after I brought up this brilliant idea, and they came back and they had been listening to speakers there, and one of the speakers, Ron Weiss, he's in New Jersey with Ethos Health, and they stopped him afterwards and they said, "Hey, Dr. Weiss, we need to do, what do we need to do? This is awesome. We need something like this in Tulsa." And he says, "You need a veg fest." And they said, "Oh, our friend Melissa just said we need to do this." And he said, "If you have one, I'll come."
Oh my
And so that's what started Tulsa Vegfest. Chrisanne and I co-founded Plant-Based Green Country. It's a 501c3. So we can do this because we're just passionate about this movement, food is medicine movement. And so we co-founded Plant-Based Green Country. A team of us got together. We did Tulsa Vegfest. And 2019, we had our inaugural year. And we estimate almost 5,000 people attended.
Oh my goodness. That is amazing. And all because, well, you already had the idea, but Dr. Wise kind of encouraged you, gave you that final push to
Yeah,
do it.
he was the one who said, "Yes, I'll come," and gave us a good boost.
How did you feel after all things wrapped up? And how much time did you have to prepare for the Veg
Well,
Fest?
it took several months to form the LLC, the nonprofit organization, and I would say about the festival itself is about 9 months, and that's what this one is, about 9 months, almost a full-time job for me, all done
Yeah.
volunteer.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So when you completed the Veg Fest, were you like, okay, next year we're doing it all over
I
again?
did not want it to end. I just wanted more, and I was in awe at how many people were there enjoying this delicious plant-based food, listening to the speakers who came from all over the country.
Yeah.
And so many of them said, "Yes, I want this. I believe this. I know. I understand what you're saying to me. I know
Mhm.
this is something I need in my life to become healthier." And 250 people signed up for cooking classes at one of our vendors' booths. And that told me something after that event. And what that told me is that these people are saying, "Wonderful. I love this. I hear what you're saying. The science is irrefutable. But how? How do I put this in my life?" And that one question, Maya, is what prompted me to take further steps. I thought to myself, VegFest is wonderful, but it's not enough. I need to do more because it's a festival, takes 9 months to do and 1 day to have. And it affects thousands of people, which is amazing, but I wanted more.
Yeah.
And so from there, I got certifications from the eCornell Nutrition, from Colin Campbell Center for Nutrition Studies,
Mhm.
and a Rouxbe Culinary Academy certification. And I still wanted more. So that's when I went on to get my Master Certified Health Coach certification.
Awesome. Okay, and we will talk about that.
Yes.
I want to emphasize what, you talked about this exhilarating feeling that you had. You didn't want the Veg Fest to end.
Right.
The first time I attended a Veg Fest, which was local, it's not happening anymore. The Texas Veggie Fair, I
Right.
think it was either 2015 or 2016. I can't remember, but I started collecting the t-shirts because
Yes. Yes.
I felt so wonderful to be able to go and just be yourself as a
Mm.
vegan,
Mm.
to hear conversations and lectures and the food demos.
Yes.
Those were a big deal to me too. So I can definitely identify with that beautiful
It's a
feeling.
community. A lot of people come at the lifestyle, plant-based lifestyle, different ways, environmental, animal, or health, and it's all part of the same conversation. And
Hmm.
that's what Tulsa Veg Fest stands for: is food, health, planet. That's our tagline. And so that's the community that we like to build. And Tulsa
Yes.
is really growing in that community. So many of the restaurants in town are offering more and more plant-based options, and many of them are plant-based 100%, their whole
Hmm.
restaurant,
Yeah.
which is exciting.
Oh, it is. And so I can't wait to go to Tulsa because I
Mm,
want to see what it's like.
yes.
We have our restaurants here and there. Some did not survive the pandemic, so I'm excited to go to Tulsa and explore. some of those local places will also be vendors, some of the
Absolutely.
restaurants.
Absolutely. We have
Okay.
currently we almost have 20 food vendors. We
Okay.
have over 50 regular non-food vendors, we call them, and tons of people who are there, and they're so excited,
Okay.
and we're
Well,
so excited.
yes, and we've been promoting it, and we actually there's another individual who I partner with who's also sort of like an event organizer,
Mm,
and she's like, "Maya, I have a group. I'm getting a group together." And I'm like,
excellent.
"So am I." So like there's just a
Yes.
whole group of us that are eager to go and
Yes.
connect because it's really you putting this and making it available this year is going to fulfill this deep desire to reconnect that a lot of us have had.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely, and everybody's ready to get out again and live life and live it well. And
Yes.
the neat thing about Tulsa Vegfest is, where Tulsa's located. We're only 4 miles from 4 hours from Dallas, 4 hours from Kansas City. You know, hop,
Right.
skip, and a jump to Arkansas. So we do attract people from all over the region. And this year we even have food vendors from California. And some of our speakers are coming from out of state. So yeah,
Yeah.
we will really attract a lot of people from different areas.
Yes, definitely. Well, I can't wait to see what it's like. I've been sharing it. I want you to, I shared it on my newsletter and someone replied,
Excellent.
Maya, can you live stream from there? Because I'm
Oh, great
not going to,
idea.
yeah, I was like, that is a good
I
idea
love it.
because some people may not have access or not, may
Yes,
not be able to attend, but I'm
for
the type of
sure.
person that I will drive.
Yes.
2019, I drove to Houston about 4 or 5 times because of all the events they were
Mm,
holding, and
yes.
we weren't having those kind of things happening
Right.
in Dallas. So let's learn more about you. Let's
Okay.
learn, like you said, we all come to this way of life
Mm.
for one of the three reasons. How did you learn about plant based foods?
So my folks who live in Florida are retired, and they went to a local hospital to listen to a lecture series, actually, and they came home and they thought, boy, I really like what he has to say. And they went back to listen to him again. And I think it was the second meeting, they went and they learned about the movie, the film Forks Over Knives,
Hmm.
and they watched the movie. And they were so convicted by what they heard,
Hmm.
and saw on that video. And my dad's a scientist, and so he, really connected with the Forks Over Knives evidence that they were presenting, and then he would read more about it. And they sent me the video, my husband and I, the video, and we watched it. That movie, Maya, was the turning point. And let me back up a little bit. I grew up in the kitchen. My mom was a home ec major. My aunt and I, and my mom and I would cook all the time. We had the pork chop and the sweet potatoes and the green beans and the brownie and the applesauce and the big glass of milk. That's how I grew up. And I would help in the kitchen. So I cooked a lot. It was not foreign to me to be in the kitchen. And so when I learned about plant-based foods, I thought, gosh, I have all this stuff to get rid of in my pantry and in my refrigerator. And it was a light switch moment for me
Hmm.
after watching that film. And I did read some more books and I read the evidence, and that was it. And so I purged my pantry. Not everybody does that, but
Hmm.
I did, because I couldn't unsee or unlearn what I just did.
Hmm.
And so that was it for me. So my cooking in the kitchen did change. My mom and dad both went plant based as well.
Hmm.
So we got to be on this journey together, which was really helpful.
Hmm.
And it was fun because it was like a new adventure. We were exploring new foods together, and we would share recipes and cookbooks and different things like that. So that was a lot of fun. So that was my kickstart.
Yeah.
And I've never looked back.
So, having had all of this exposure and experience in the kitchen, I think is significant because there is a whole generation or group of people who kind of have moved away from cooking,
Hmm.
period. So, for you, was it a little bit easier as a result because you felt comfortable? Once you kind of master the kitchen, you don't even rely on recipes.
Right. I still use recipes.
You
I
do?
I'm a rule follower, I guess, I don't know. But I do have a lot of recipes, that are very simple, that I have almost committed to heart, and then I can, recreate them that way, or maybe adjust them a little bit. But I think what you say can be true, but, I think that there's, um, a false belief of that a whole food plant-based lifestyle is difficult to cook, because rice and beans are not hard to cook, and that's kind of the basis of a lot of plant-based foods, rice
Hmm.
and beans.
Hmm.
And they're so nutritious, and potatoes, and they're so nutritious,
Hmm.
and they're so inexpensive.
Yes.
And I think if we can think about then our food, our flavor of our food, we get a lot of the flavorings that we would put on meat and traditional dairy and meat products. And we'll put that on plant-based foods and you get the same flavor. Texture is going to be a little different, right?
Yes.
But if we can get beyond the thought of this is going to taste like a hamburger exactly or a steak or whatever in the mouthfeel, because there's a lot of satisfaction in mouthfeel. But if we can get beyond that and just enjoy the food and the flavor and that experience, but not just that, but then how do we feel afterwards? Then that's where things start to really to kick in.
Yes.
So yeah, I think my skills in the kitchen did help, and my interest in it did help. But I don't think that that's a barrier if you aren't comfortable in the kitchen. I think it's easy to learn.
Right. I agree. I think it may seem difficult if you're just not used to grocery shopping,
Yes.
spending that extra time or
Yeah.
meal prepping. It
Yeah.
may seem that way, but
Yeah.
the more you do it, the easier. And it's like any
Absolutely.
skill that you develop over
Absolutely.
time, it becomes
Absolutely.
easier. So tell us more. What happened after you decided that you will never go back to, you can't unsee what you saw.
Right.
So what
Right.
happened?
Well, I read more and I read more and I'm still reading more. I just find it so fascinating, the studies that support this lifestyle. I'm not a scientist myself, but I do want evidence. I do want proof that this is right. So I just kept cooking and changing my recipes. I would use the same recipes and then just kind of do some swaps of ingredients,
Yes.
veggie broth instead of beef broth or whatever, non-dairy creamer and things like that. And so that was just a nice slow change. And, we would do some meatless Monday type deals and then gradually build from there. And I must say my husband did not follow suit along with me, though, I shared the information with him. But when he would be out at work and out to dinner, business meals and all of that, he would choose his traditional meals that we would always eat. But when he was home, he would have what I would cook, no complaints, and he loved it. And my kids were at home at the time and they loved the food. So it was a journey together. About 3 months later, my husband started to really understand the importance, the effects, how his body was changing. And that was just being a part-time plant-based person, and he was noticing some changes. And so he came on my journey about three months later. And it was about that time where I thought, well, I wonder how my body has changed. And I lost a few pounds. I didn't have a whole lot to lose. I lost a few pounds, but I lost 6 inches. And that told me that I had inflammation in my body that I didn't know I had. So that was really interesting. And then I had a ton of energy. Like I just felt good and I was happier.
Yeah.
So I think hindsight, looking back at then how I felt and then how I felt before I went plant-based, it dawned on me, it's the food.
Right.
And I'd been paleo. I've done the paleo thing.
Really?
I did, before I had my daughter, I lost quite a bit of weight on a very popular national brand where you go and you points and all of that stuff. And I was miserable. I had no energy. I could barely eat anything. I literally would go eat pickles because they were free points. And, I knew this wasn't right, but that's what I was trying to follow the rules. And then I couldn't sustain it. And then when I went off the diet, the pounds came back on.
Oh.
Yeah.
So I have never really met anyone who's been on the paleo diet. Was it hard?
I don't know if it was hard. It was kind of gross. Like all the fat in my skillet and cleaning, and so that part was kind of gross. But it just was a lot of meat, and in what I know now, looking back, like my GI system was not happy with that diet.
Okay.
Yeah.
We usually can tell.
Yes.
Now I pay attention and I know what works, what doesn't work with my body.
Yeah.
So now you gathered all this information, you learned, like a lot of us, I did the same thing.
Yeah.
And then what happened after that?
That's when I, went to Florida on a getaway trip and went on that Veg Fest weekend. visited it was just me for a getaway, and visited my parents, and then it just was like a waterfall.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's amazing. What have you done these last 2 years that everything was sort of halted?
Right. So last 2 years were difficult. Obviously, everybody has their own story and way of dealing with things. We were planning to have a 2020 Tulsa Vegfest. We were 6 weeks out from having it, and we had to pull the plug. For safety rules, as everybody knows, and so that was really difficult. This is run by 7 amazing volunteer women. I have an amazing group of friends, and I couldn't do this without them. So it was spring break 2020, and all the news on the TV, and we're listening to all of the things, and I said, we can't do this. This is a health event, and we
Yes.
can't do this. And so Chris Ann and I decided it was time. And so that was extremely difficult. And as a nonprofit organization, that means a lot because, we are a nonprofit organization. But first and foremost, we stand for our vendors and those who move the needle on food as medicine and the plant-based lifestyle. So we refunded everybody's money and helping them to hopefully sustain their businesses. And just knew that was the right thing to do because we do this for them.
Yes. Did
as
you
well.
sort of experience like a financial hit as a result of having to refund? And I'm
Yeah,
assuming you lost a little bit of money just from the initial
right. Yeah, our
thing.
operational costs, we did lose some money, but thankfully 2019 was good for us, and we're financially responsible, and so we were okay
Okay.
to be able to do that.
So this time that you had off, that you didn't actually do the Veg Fest, was that time for you to kind of brainstorm or maybe even contact other vendors to then, as you were planning for, say, this year? Because I'm assuming that this year you were still iffy about whether it was going to happen or not.
Yeah, so that's an interesting question because 2020 really hurt a lot to be able to work so hard. I mean, it is a
Yes.
full-time job. It is a gazillion
Yeah.
details, every one of them worth it. And so that was very difficult. So it was kind of like coming off of a bad breakup. Um, so that was a little hard, but we knew that 2021 was not our year. It was not time yet. And, we would look around the country and see what other public events were being held and in what formats and inside and outside and that kind of thing. So we knew that was not our year. And again, to be responsible for public health, we needed to just hold tight for a little
Sure.
bit. So quite frankly, I think for a full year, we didn't really even think about having one. And then during the COVID couple years, my family got transferred to Houston. And so we moved to Houston. And so that was a big deal that I'm not in Tulsa anymore. And yeah, so what do we do? And so it actually we teetered on dissolving and not being in the city and not having boots on the ground myself. And my co-founder doesn't live in state anymore either. And so that was really difficult. My team is still committed and wants to do it. And I said, but I need your help. And so we did manage to find a way. One of my teammates did say, I'll be your right hand if you'll do it with me. And I said, I'm in. And so, we shifted some leadership, which was amazing. And so, we said, we're doing this. And
Yes.
again, 9 months later, we're about ready to have another
Yes.
Tulsa Vegfest on June 4th.
I am so excited. So I see that Dr. Jim
Yes.
Loomis, it will be like your headline or your keynote speaker.
Yes, Dr. Jim Loomis. Y'all may know him from Game Changers. He works at the Barnard Medical Clinic, medical director there. And so he will be here, Tulsa Vegfest as our headline presenter. And exciting, Maya, the dinner the night before, we're having the Tulsa Vegfest dinner experience at Mother Road Market.
Yes.
And he will be delivering a more intimate message that night. So we're pleased to have him. And then Dr. Sal LaCognina, who I've befriended over the years, will be there. He was one of the inspirational people I met in Florida at that Veg Fest I spoke about.
Yes.
And so he actually really spurred me on to be a health coach from the very beginning. He says, Melissa, you need to be a health coach. And I said, it's not time, Dr. Sal. And so eventually that's what happened. But anyhow, Dr. Sal is coming back. He was there in 2019. And so he's excited to come back as well.
Yeah.
And then we have Erin Martin, who is a gerontologist, and she's a local Tulsa gerontologist. We'll be talking about soil health. And then our Dr. Riz Bukhari is coming to talk about vascular health. So we're so excited to have Dr. Riz join us. And then Maya, you're going to be presenting on our new demo stage, a demo in bilingual, which is amazing. So we have a very large Hispanic population in Tulsa, so that'll be fun.
That means a lot to me. When I first got on board, Melissa, initially, I mean, from the beginning, I said, I need to outreach to the Spanish. I always say Spanish speaking community because that could be anybody
absolutely
who needs to hear this information in Spanish. So I was very excited. And, we were on a roll and working with people, but still had not really outreach because I feel like we have to go into those communities.
Yes.
And so thank you for the opportunity because this will be like the first time I do it in Spanish. So I'm excited and I love doing food demos. I would do them when we held our monthly events. I would do that, but not for someone else. So it's going to be exciting.
That's going to be very meaningful because Spanish speaking population is a population we're really trying to reach. I speak a little bit of Spanish, but I'm obviously not fluent. So so we're so pleased that you're going to be there. And, Tulsa Vegfest is going to happen at Guthrie Green, which is right in the heart of downtown Tulsa. And so it's very accessible from a lot of different sides of Tulsa and different communities. So I really hope that a lot of people will come.
That's right. 2019, we were on a roll too. We were at the Holistic Holiday at Sea vegan cruise, and then we were everywhere. We were conferenced out actually by the end.
Busy year.
Yes, we did like 4 or 5, I don't know, but we did that. Riz spoke in Maui and Oahu for the Vegetarian Society of Hawaii.
Wow.
So all of it just seemed like this wonderful, it was almost like a roller coaster in the sense that it was so much happening that we didn't really have time to absorb it. But it was also like we were on a roll, like we don't want to stop. We don't want to stop. So we canceled a lifestyle medicine retreat that we had scheduled, and Chris Ann had been invited to be part of it. So we ended up refunding people too. And I lost a little bit of money too because of all the work that I was doing behind the scenes. But it really, this last 2 going on 3 years, I've had time to kind of see what's important and where I need to focus my energy. You also went ahead and became a life coach or a health coach, and you did your training. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so I'm a master certified health coach, got my training from the Dr. Sears Wellness Institute. And it has been amazing. And I just feel that this is my calling. I was a stay-home mom. I'm a graphic design freelancer, and I volunteered like crazy for my kids because that was my main focus. And I gave it my all. And as my kids grew, and now are out of the house, and we have one in college still, I knew I wanted to use my energy, my talents, and my passion to help other people. And so listening to Dr. Sal in my head, I thought this is the time. And it was literally one afternoon, my husband was working from home, and at the end of the day, I said, I think it might be time for me to do this thing. And we were still in COVID, right? So it was a lot of time at home. And I said, I think this is the time. And he supported me. And I literally started class the next week because that was their schedule. And I said, okay, go big or go home. And so that has been amazing. And I hear those people from 2019 and what they're signing their name on that list for cooking classes and asking how. And I finally have that platform, that ability to teach people how. And with health coaching, it's really interesting because, we get a lot of wonderful information, like all of your books, wonderful information. But what I'm really excited about in my health coaching practice is about the habit change and the behavior change and helping people
Mm-hmm.
through their journey, because we can get the information all day long
Mm-hmm.
and we can do it for a week, or, those New Year's resolutions, right? How long do those last? So, we could do it for a short period of time, and some of it sticks and some of it doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
But a health coach is somebody who is on this journey with you. And that's what I love. I did that with my kids, right? And I raised them and I did
Mm-hmm.
this journey with them. And now I get to do this with people who have health goals and health challenges and work with them in their unique lifestyles. If they're
Yes.
travel, if they work, if they stay home, if they have kids, if they're older. So I get to do that. And it's just such an honor.
It's you are offering a real support and guidance for the
Mm.
people that need this. I think of, as a matter of fact, many of my guests are health coaches for that same reason.
Mm-hmm.
You said we can get the information all day long. And yes, we love when our plant based physicians encourage us to eat more plants. I love
Yes.
that. But the physician is actually not going to work directly with you. They'll refer you, hopefully, to
Yes.
someone like a dietitian, a nutritionist, or a health coach,
Right.
someone that will really work closely with you in terms of how, making those changes in your life.
Right. It's a team approach.
Hmm.
They provide the science and the evidence behind why this food works in our bodies.
Hmm.
And then the health coach or the dietitian can then help manage on the home front, right? And
Yes.
how that works in their lives. And
Yes.
then the doctor would um, help monitor that and see what the results are. Yeah.
Yes. So who are you working with right now?
Right. So I do coach one-on-one, virtually or in person if you're in the Houston area. And so I will work with clients one-on-one that way. But I just launched a new program called the Second Youth Wellness Method that I wrote the curriculum and developed, and just use all my information and all of the science. It's all evidence-based, but it's really focused on habit forming, healthy habit forming, and behavior change, and using this food in unique lifestyles so they can use that food as
Mhm.
medicine.
Yes.
Yeah.
So second youth.
Yes. So the Second Youth Wellness Method is focused on women in their second half of life who want to shed pounds that they don't want,
Yes.
restore energy that they've been missing, and experience their best years ahead
Yes.
with vibrance and confidence to use food as medicine and not give
Mhm.
up the joy of food. Because
Yes.
I don't know about you, Maya, but I love to eat and I want to eat guilt free and enjoy it and not feel bad later. So,
Mhm.
I said earlier, I'm turning 50 this year, and, I feel amazing, and I want that for everybody. We women often nurture others and take care of others, be it work or family members or children or pets, and we give so much to
Yes.
others. I feel that as our seasons change, then sometimes we forget about ourselves. And so my passion is to help women in their second half of life to fulfill their purpose in life, because
Mhm.
my children are leaving the nest and one has left the nest, and my job isn't done, but my
Mhm.
main job is done. And so our seasons shift. And
Mhm.
so I want to help people find their new calling and live that out, because I truly believe everybody has a purpose. And
Mhm.
I want them to live that out without
Mhm.
pains, without pills, and without procedures if they're not
Yes.
needed. And so to do that, well, let's use food as medicine. I see these amazing women and what they've accomplished in life,
Yeah.
and where they've been, and it's not all been rosy, let's face it, right? Everybody's, has a journey and a story. And I know that they're so powerful, and there's so much left to give and
Mhm.
so much left to enjoy. And I
Mhm.
want to be a catalyst in that.
Yes. Yeah. So first of all, on my podcast, I love supporting women, right?
Mm.
Like I love having people come on and talk about how they support women. It's also sort of the group when women approach or reach a certain age, they're not as seen,
Mm.
right? As acknowledged, as supported, despite the fact that they themselves have provided so much support for other
Absolutely.
people and have been there for their families, for their significant others. So I love the idea of supporting women, and especially as we are going into the stages of life of having menopause or knowing that we are at higher risk for falls, for heart disease, for osteoporosis, just all those things that we can
Absolutely.
possibly face. One of my key points is it's never too late.
It's never too late.
It is never too late.
It's never too late. And, and I know you know this, but I just want to reiterate, and I'm glad you said that because it is never too late. The body can change in 3 weeks.
Wow.
And that's how powerful our food is. It either is health promoting or health hindering.
Yes.
And that's powerful when you think about it. But because I'm a health coach, I get to help people with the mindset. And the Second Youth Wellness Method does have elements in it that address mindset. And we talk about that. And I have affirmations in my program. It's 12 weeks long. It has hours of audio lessons, several dozen printables and recipes and tools that people can use. And I have cooking videos with the recipes. So there's a lot of content in it. It is self-paced. It's 12 weeks long, and you can kind of go at it within that 12 weeks as you wish. So I'm trying to give people those tools that they can use to empower themselves so they're not reliant on the miracle powders and the pills and that kind of thing, that they know what they can do in different situations. We talk about mindsets like planning ahead or planning for obstacles, or strategies like batch cooking, how to read a menu at a restaurant and what to look for. So we talk about those things so that, these folks who go through this program then can take that and go out into the world and apply it and do it with confidence.
I know that I spend a lot of time with my own mom supporting her to the point that she probably could now figure out a menu on her own, especially at an airport. As you know, that's one of the difficult places.
It is.
So
It is.
this is a wonderful thing that you're doing. I love this.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Well, I'm so excited just to be able to create this curriculum and let it be a tool to help teach people.
And so can anyone take your course?
It is geared mostly for, it is geared just for women in their second half of life, regardless of age. I think a lot of women can get value out of it. Part of the course does include weekly coaching calls. So those would be with women, and that is, for sensitivity reasons for that. And those coaching calls are in a group setting with me. And then I do have a part of that is part of the program is also a Facebook group, and so there's a lot of support in that in a community setting in Facebook as well. Yeah,
and because it is virtual, anyone can take
that is
the
correct.
Course. Any woman,
anybody, yes, any woman can take the
yes.
course. Yes, but I can coach men as well, and I do have men clients.
Oh, do you?
Yes.
Okay, cool. A lot of people at a certain age start to have health issues and medications. So you take that into consideration as well.
Absolutely.
Very different than, say, a young woman who might, her goal may be to tackle things to have a healthy pregnancy, for example. Very different. When we get older, we want to optimize our health, our bone health, and everything else to prevent heart disease and strokes. And
absolutely. Right. And at the very beginning of my program, I do say, do this with your program, with your physician. Make sure that you're on this journey with your physician and he or she is involved with you, because food is powerful, as you know, and it will adjust medication need.
The main thing that I enjoy is, again, supporting women, but with older women. And I know that I don't want to emphasize older. I'm just talking about women that are probably 40 and up or 50 and up.
Yeah, probably 45 and up.
Yeah. We don't have enough people speaking about supporting women that are 45 and older. And so that's one of the things that I said, okay, we definitely need to talk about your program.
Yeah. And, and I think we kind of hit on this with the Tulsa Vegfest is community is so important, and it can be lonely out there. And as I'm glad you're kind of bringing this up, because food is very personal, and it can be kind of a thorn in a relationship. And so it can't, if somebody makes a switch to a different style of eating, it can be lonely. And you can face a lot of obstacles that might tempt you to fall back into old comfortable ways. And so that is a big reason why I did my program is because it is a community and it's a supportive community. So we can help women who do
Mhm.
nurture other people, but we can nurture each other.
Mhm.
And I think that's so important is community. And so, back to my story about my plant-based potluck group who I wrangled into doing Tulsa Vegfest with me. If I didn't have those women, I don't know where I would be. And we're just so important to each other in encouragement and
Mhm.
ideas, just practical stuff and community and just loving on each other. And anyhow,
Yeah.
it's just very powerful. And I know that because women spend so much of their time nurturing other people. And it's interesting because in the midlife, a lot of my clients and my neighbors and my friends are starting now to take care of aging parents. And their health is declining because once again, they're nurturing and tending to a family member in need. And so their own health is declining because again, the focus is off of taking care of their own needs.
Mhm.
And what's beautiful about a whole food plant-based lifestyle is that you can do it anywhere, anytime.
Yes.
You just have to know how and
Yes.
have that support in
Yeah.
that community to go along with you.
Yes. And it's such a good point that you just made about, caretaking and
Mm,
or caregiving, but caring for other family members. So you go from the younger children to now your parents. I'm so
yeah.
glad that you brought it up as well, because then it goes back to us not taking care of ourselves. And in terms of community, right when I turned 50, I joined a Facebook group for women that are 50 and whole food plant based in this lifestyle. And the dynamics are so different than an open group with a variety of different people.
Yes.
It feels more mature.
Yes.
And one is not as reluctant to ask questions because we're all adult women. So,
Right.
right. So I just feel like I do feel still like I'm part towards the younger group of people because it is 50 and over.
Yes.
But at the same time, I don't feel like there's the attacks and the criticizing and everything because we're just older and mature and we have this coming understanding of what we want. So I feel comfortable being in a group like that. So I
Yes.
can understand
Yeah.
creating that support system.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
And may I bring up my Facebook group? I have a
Yes, please tell
so
us.
yeah, I have a Facebook group that's free to any women over 40. It's actually 40, so it's called Everyday Food Confidence for Women Over 40 or Women 40 Plus, I think is the name on Facebook. And that is that
Yeah.
very thing that you're talking about. And so
Yes.
it's where I'll be posting ideas and recipes and group discussion and what are you struggling with and things like
Yeah.
that. And the response has been really awesome
Yes.
of people who are joining. And that's what it's about is talking about doing this life together. And people, it's nice to know when you're not alone
Yes.
with bloating or other problems or not sleeping or night sweats or you know, cravings and that kind of thing. It's really nice to know that you're not alone.
Hmm.
And then you can go to the group and say, okay, I have this problem, what do I need? Oh, I have the best brownie batter hummus that you need to make. And yeah.
Yeah. So, yes, I want to encourage everyone to join your group. I have, if I could share with you real quickly about my mom, I bring her
Yeah.
up often, even though I don't like talking about my family very
Yeah.
much, to respect their privacy and things like that. But my mother, we finally got her on board, my husband and I, to go plant based. And she lives in
Excellent.
the Phoenix, Arizona area and lives with a sister who's on a keto diet.
Ah,
And she's been on a keto diet for a while. And I've done everything from shipped, meal plans, kind of like these meal prep services,
yes.
to make it easy for my mom. But when you talked about it's a personal choice and how you may feel alone in all of this, I feel that with my mom because she'll say things like, I made this, but everyone else is eating that. Or I made enough to share with everyone, but no one wants to touch it. And
Right.
so my mom is off to the corner and it
Yeah.
breaks my heart.
Yeah.
It hurts me
It's
so
very
much.
difficult.
Off to the corner, off to the side, just kind of eating by herself. And I'm thinking, really? Like other people can't just eat broccoli too? Eat
Right.
some broccoli, eat some potatoes. And I'm learning because of what the dynamics that my mother's going through. I'm learning how important it is for me to support older women as well.
Yeah.
not just myself, but women who are older than myself, I'm learning that they may not even ask for help. They may
Right.
not even say, hey, I'm feeling this way, because they
Right.
feel like they have to have it all together.
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah, that's
Mhm.
important.
Yeah, this is great. I'm so
Yeah.
glad. Yeah, so I definitely want everyone to, join your group
Thank
or
you.
share it with other people who
Yeah.
can use that support, especially us who, may not be close to our family.
Right,
Um,
right. And it is kind of like a little family. I'm very
yes.
friendly, and I just want so badly for people to experience what I've experienced and what my friends and you and have experienced,
Yes.
and just really turn their health around
Yeah.
and feel better and get to go be their wonderful people that they are.
All right.
Yeah.
So you've done a lot. You're staying busy with the Veg Fest, and now you're coaching. But I'm going to ask anyway.
Yes.
What else? Is there anything else that's coming up for you, or what's next for you?
What's next? Maybe a vacation.
Oh, there you
um,
go.
yeah, it's been incredibly busy. I don't know that I've ever been this busy in my life. And it's all wonderful busy.
Hmm.
And I'm thankful for every bit of it. So I don't know what's next, Maya. I need to get to June 3rd and 4th, because there's a big dinner the night before. And so looking forward to that. So I just need to get to June 3rd and 4th. My program is launched, and I want to just really, hit the ball out of the park with that one.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So after that, I do not know.
But
I've been asked to do a Houston Veg Fest, so I don't know if that's going to happen, but
oh my goodness, if you did a Houston Veg Fest, oh my goodness, that would be awesome.
everything's bigger in Texas. We'd
It
have to have it
is.
at the big stadium or something,
There you
right?
go. Oh my gosh. I've been to a fest there at Minute Maid Park.
Yes.
That's a whole nother story. It could have been done differently.
Yeah.
But yeah, and so I've connected with so many other people that are plant-based in
Yeah.
Houston because of it.
Yeah, and it's really exciting to see the plant-based movement growing.
Yes.
And we see it because we're tuned into it,
Hmm.
but it is growing. And
Hmm.
even people, I don't know the statistics, but even people who are not plant-based do buy plant-based products. And because it's kind of like, hey, let's go out for Chinese food, or let's go out for
Hmm.
Italian. It's kind of like, let's go out for vegan, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. And, Nature's Plate, I don't know if you've ever heard of them.
I
They're
don't
here in
know.
the Dallas
Okay.
place. And so they have like a meal prep service. Like
Mm,
you subscribe, you order your foods and pick up your foods. So it's
nice.
all done for you. And
Excellent.
so they've said that not everyone that orders food from them are plant-based.
Yeah.
They just want healthier meals.
Yeah, and isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
Yeah, and so, I was thinking in the car ride on the way here, um, as a health coach, I talk a lot about behavior change, right?
Yeah.
And people know eating broccoli is healthy, and they just don't know how healthy it is and what all can go with that broccoli that is still healthy and satisfying and all this stuff. But we are what we consistently do. And so we might eat a plant-based meal on Monday or all of Monday or every breakfast, and that's good. But if you want to move the needle further to
Mm-hmm.
being more healthy, that consistency is key. And so
Mm-hmm.
we are what we consistently do. I think Seth Godin said that. But
Mm.
anyhow, yeah.
Yes, that's a good message. Is there anything else that you'd like to share with our listeners? Maybe something else I could have asked?
I don't know. I loved our conversation. I
Yeah.
really enjoyed speaking with you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it. I might, on my Instagram live stream at the Veg Fest.
I love that. I will be
Just
doing
a
that
little
as well
bit.
on my
Yeah,
Facebook page.
right. Oh,
Yes.
on your page. That's a
Yes,
good
I will be.
idea.
Yes, so
Yes.
I have several Facebook pages, but my group is closed to the women.
Yeah.
And so anyhow, yeah, you can find me on Facebook
Yes.
at MAF Health Coach,
Okay.
and mafhealth.com is my website,
Uh-huh.
and yeah,
And the Tulsa Veg Fest
Tulsa Veg
website.
Fest, yeah, tulsavegfest.org.
Okay.
Yeah, all the
Wonderful.
details are there.
That's great. It's been such a pleasure getting to know you
Absolutely,
like this in
likewise.
person. My goodness. We will see you again in June.
Just a few weeks away,
Oh my
Maya.
God,
Can't
I'm so
wait.
excited. Well, thank you for being on our
Thank
show today.
you. It was a pleasure.
You've been listening to the Healthy Lifestyle Solutions podcast with your host, Maya Acosta. If you've enjoyed this podcast, do us a favor and share with one friend who can benefit from this episode. Feel free to leave us an honest review on Apple Podcasts. That helps us to spread our message. You can also head on over to podinbox.com/HLS to leave me a voicemail. Don't forget to subscribe. And as always, thank you for listening.